Here's how I get sellers to forget about what the house is worth and focus on the result that they are after. Most sellers are stuck in the past. They're stuck on what the comp sold for 6 months ago, what they bought the house for, what Zillow says that the home is worth. And the problem with that is we can't buy properties for what the Zillow price is. We can't buy properties for maybe what the comparable sold for 6 months ago. We need to buy properties at a price that works for us. And so today, what I'm going to go over is the exact strategy, step by step, I use to get them into that future state that takes them out of price-based thinking and into result-based thinking. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I have a killer video for you guys today. And if you already subscribed, welcome back. You know that all we do is talk about how individual sales reps and companies can hit 100K months wholesaling and flipping real estate. So without further ado, I'm going to explain to you guys the concept of future pacing. So all of our sellers start here, and this is their current situation, right? So this is their current state. And so this is where they all start. And so this might be, for some people, not that bad. A lot of times we think that all of our sellers have to be super motivated. They have to have this distress. They have to be in foreclosure, in probate, or the house needs a ton of work. They're dealing with bad tenants. We think that they have to have some sort of huge problem. Now, the thing is, they don't necessarily need to have a huge problem that they're dealing with. What they do need to have is a gap. And so if this is their current state, what they need to have is a big difference between their current state and their future state. So this straight line here, we call this their gap. Now, if you have a seller that it doesn't have necessarily a bad current state, well, how do you create a gap if they don't have a bad current state? Well, you get them to focus on this future state right here. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of ways to do that. Now, if the seller does have a ton of motivation, they're in foreclosure, they hate the house, they hate the neighborhood, it's super unsafe, we can still use that future state to spread out that gap even longer. So the first question that I want to ask when I'm trying to draw out that future state is I want to get them to think about the thing that they are most excited about. And I'll give you guys an example. At one point, I was buying a Jeep Wrangler. I already had a Tesla, wasn't super unhappy with my Tesla. I just couldn't go camping with my friends. They were going off-roading. And I went to 2 dealerships with the exact same car. I wanted this unlimited Rubicon. I knew I wanted it in some sort of off-grid. Both dealerships had one. The first guy started to just feature push. So he would say, hey, look at the stereo system here. Look at the rims. This one's got the little button that folds out the hardtop. It's got the Hellcat engine. All of these things that I honestly just didn't really care about, but he was feature pushing in the same way that we do this with our sellers. And so we feature push that, hey, this is a cash offer. It's going to be a quick close. We pay the closing costs. We pay all the commissions. And that's fine to let them know that. But the problem is that's not what's going to get them to come off the price, 30, 40%. They might come off the price 5 to 6%. And we just can't buy deals for that little of a discount. We need to buy them at bigger spreads than that. And so what we need to do is we need to get them excited about the future, like the guy did on the second dealership I went to. So when I walked on the lot, he asked me, so what are you going to be using the Jeep for? Where exactly are you going to be going? Who are you going to be going with? Ask me questions to start getting me in that future state. Now, unfortunately, he couldn't put me in the Jeep and bring me to Yosemite or bring me to Big Sur so I can start camping, right? Otherwise, that would have really sold me if I was going with my friends. But he asked me questions to get me thinking about how that's going to feel. And the same thing we can do with our sellers. So my first question that I always love to ask is, what are you looking forward to? And then keyword here, looking forward to the most. And it's important that I word it that way. What are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life? And so what I'll do is after I find out their problem, after I find out why they're looking to sell or any sort of problem awareness, I'll say, so walk me through, what's the plan once you sell? If it's a investor, I might say, you're just going to take a one-way trip to Vegas and gamble it away, or what's going on there, right? If it's a homeowner, walk me through, what's the house that you're moving to that actually look like? If it's a vacant property, I might use a similar situation to the investor. I want to find out what they're going to be doing with that money. Now, I'll give you guys a couple of real world examples that I've had. I'll give you one from this past week. I spoke to a seller and I said, okay, so what's the plan when you sell the property? She says, oh, well, I want to pay off both of my mortgages and I want to buy a property so my family can come visit me. Oh my God. Well, what are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life? Oh, well, it's being able to have my kids nearby. They can come visit me every once in a while, and then not having to have all of that debt anymore so I can go do more bigger and better things, right? That might be an example of something that the seller would say that was this situation. Then I want to get that emotional impact. And so what I'll ask is, yeah, and I mean, let's say like you finally have that new home. How's that going to feel once your family can come visit you? But more importantly, you don't have to worry about making any payments anymore. Oh my gosh, that's going to feel incredible. I'm getting them in that future state, which is taking them off just the price of the home and into the result of the problem they are trying to solve. I'll give you another example from a seller that we had. This guy was pretty motivated. He had a house that his wife passed away in, tons of bad memories. He was drinking all the time because he just really couldn't handle being in the house. But what he really wanted is to have a small condo, just like an apartment, not have to do any maintenance. He wanted to have a more simple quality of life, right? And so when I asked him, so what are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life? Something new came up. He said, well, look, my current girlfriend does not want to live with me because of all the memories that are in this house. And plus it's just super messy. But once I move into that next house, she's going to be moved in with me. I'm going to get to see her every single day and spend some more time with her. Gosh, man, how's that going to feel once you are getting that time back with your girlfriend that you're just missing out on right now? Oh my gosh, it's going to feel incredible. So this is the questions that we need to ask. And in this order, what are you looking forward to the most? Now, let's say they give you a vague answer, like they're not really sure. I can ask a question. How does that compare? So maybe they don't know like what they're looking forward to the most. I might say something like, well, I mean, how does the house that you're moving to compare to the one that you're in now? Oh, well, it's in a much safer neighborhood. It's a gated community and the neighborhood has a pool. That will be how they start telling me what they're looking forward to the most. And then the next question I ask in this order is, how is that going to feel? How is that going to feel? And when they start talking about their feelings, this is where it becomes real for them. So if you've ever had any sort of mindset coach, like Tony Robbins is big on this. Any Tony Robbins coach that you work with, they will ask you, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? But they don't stop there. They say, what kind of house do you live in? What are some of the smells that you're smelling? What are the things that you're hearing? What do you do right when you wake up? How do you feel when you're getting in front of your computer in the morning? How do you feel working on what you're working on, right? How do you feel being able to spend that time with your kids? They get you completely ingrained in that future state. And the reason that they do that is mindset coaches, like any of the guys that work with Tony Robbins, they are masters at changing human behavior. And that's all we're doing with sales, is we're changing human behavior. And the more you can focus on that future state, the more you want it. The more it's real for you, that's the more you want it. And so when they want it bad enough, then they aren't focused on getting the highest price for the property. They're not focused on the Zillow price. They're not focused on what the neighbors sold for. They just want to get that result. They just want to get to that end result. So once I have those questions and I say, so how would you feel once that finally happens? And they start feeling those emotions, I will simply transition to, my goal is to be able to help you get that result. So what do you need in your pocket to be able to do that? And I'm switching them from how much do you want for the house to what do you need to be able to get that result that you are actually after. And so we actually just did a live call. Today is June 14th. We just did a live call inside of our school community where I give people free leads. We had somebody sponsor the call. We give them free leads. And we started going through this, focusing on the need. That was the biggest takeaway everybody had, is when you focus on the needs, we were able to get one seller from $450,000 all the way to $300,000 just by going to those needs. We had another seller that went from 125 all the way to 92,000 just by focusing on those needs. Like, this one change can get you 30% off the price once you learn how to master it. And if you want to get better at sales, you want to learn how to master this process and get some more help, I'm going to drop a link inside the description for our school community. We have two different options. If you're just getting started, we have an option where you can role play every single week and I will coach you through this process. So make sure you're getting the best results. And then we have some advanced training for people that are doing over 15K a month. We help scale companies that are doing 100K, 300K, all the way to 600K a month, sales managers, whatever you guys need help with. So I will drop links inside of the description and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, everybody.